All right, Yana, we're talking about your Chronicle of a Death Foretold essay. And just like in the past, the color code is yellow is something that probably needs to be addressed, kind of like a caution. Blue is usually there's something good that needs to be pulled forward. And then green is something that I think you've done well, either the way you said it or the idea that's expressed. Okay. Um, so the way you start, we've kind of got a more scientific idea, I guess, maybe from live science. I'm not really familiar with that source, but do you need a?
No, I just need.
It's okay.
It's just an email.
Okay. Um, I mean, you're working with you're. I see that you're setting up this idea of memory and blame, and so you're kind of giving us a definition of memory to work from. So maybe we'll come back to that. I think the word you want here is divided.
Okay.
Okay. And then I like this idea that the effect of dividing this blame across the town really creates a sense of mystery. I think that's again something we can come back to as a thesis of sorts. Kind of we're going to want to find out what strategies or techniques Marquez uses to divide the blame, which creates a sense of mystery and maybe does something else. We'll see how that goes.
Okay.
All right, as we go through it. I have this in yellow because it's just a long quote. There's a lot of information here, and this is a problem that we're going to see a couple times. You'll say this shows, and I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to because there's so much here. Okay.
Okay.
If you want to highlight that she that Victoria Guzman doesn't like Santiago, I think there's some other quotes that are a little bit more significant that would, something like she's like, I hope they kill him, or, I mean, there's some more direct quotes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of information here, but it's more about her, Victoria Guzman's past and how she'd been seduced by his father. But she's also slept with apparently a number of people because we have a recent mate, and the word mate itself kind of suggests an animal kind of coupling of sorts. But anyway, all right. Going forward, whichever piece you submit, and just really in any academic writing, we don't want to use contractions. So did not.
Okay.
We'll just that's easy to fix. Here again, we've got this, right? We want to know what it is specifically, because you're saying this is important because this quote shows why this is one example, right? And we just want to be more specific. It's going to help your reader understand what it is you're wanting us to focus on. Because here it comes again. Like I said, it comes up a bit. So here's a quote that could conceivably be used up above, where essentially it's the mother, Victoria Guzman, confessed after her mother had died that the mother, hadn't said anything because in the depths of Victoria's heart, she wanted them to kill him. I mean, that's pretty strong. I mean, I think that works better than this long one here.
Okay.
Okay.
What quote should I use for?
Well, that might be. We'll see how that works. Because here's the other point to kind of explore. It's not, and I'm going to say, we'll see if that allows me to turn this to blue right now. while we're still in this. Cool. This is kind of the idea of what memory and how guilt works on memory, right? And so you could conceivably develop this. This could be more developed for your thesis statement. And then when we get into your body paragraphs, it might be that you're doing a paragraph on maybe a character by character and looking at how blame and guilt affect their memory, or how, well, essentially blame is guilt, right? Maybe, I don't know. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but
Yeah.
because I think that's what you're saying here is the people are lying to themselves because they want to remember the version that is better for them,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Let's see. Divina, who is the daughter from Santiago's family's cook, tells the narrator that her mother wanted Santiago dead and that she was just a child too young and scared to understand what was really going on. Okay. Remember, at this point, when the story starts, the daughter, Davina, is probably 16 years old. She's a teenager, at least. And I mean, Santiago is, it's pretty graphic language, if you recall,
Yeah.
like what he does to her, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the reason I have this in yellow is I don't think she's a child. And it's not that she's too young. Maybe she's also upset. Maybe she shares some of that anger, maybe that her mom has. But I think in this case, I don't feel like this is an opinion so much as it is a knowledge and understanding point. It's like if someone who doesn't know you reads this, they're like, I don't think she understands that the girl is 16 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay. Right. I mean, so you say that there, right? I mean, you say it in the next sentence. So it's hard to understand how, if she actually hated Santiago and wanted him dead, I would just suggest maybe changing this. Okay. I have this in yellow because I don't see where the other quotes end. It starts here, but I don't know if it's destiny in quotes or if it's a longer quote. I'm not sure.
Oh, I think I forgot though. I think it's just destiny.
Like you were putting it destiny in quotes, kind of
Yeah.
like it's kind of her destiny. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And in that case, I would say you want to, instead of saying kind of, that's pretty low for language, and we want to elevate that academic tone so they know you're really smart, because you are. You're going to say it was, or it seemed as if, or Marquez suggests, because of her mother's, and that's where you might use this quote, right? Because of her mother's.
Past.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, good. Okay, so this shows didn't. Again, pretty much is like kind of. The Vicario twins told everyone,
Okay.
or almost everyone. Almost is better than pretty much. And I didn't go through and highlight every single contraction. I just need you to know not to do that.
Okay.
We've got the double win. We've got through this quote, and then stupidity, and we've got a lot. So again, we want to be more specific. Tell us what it is in the quote that we're looking at specifically. We want to say, so that we take out through this quote, We can say through the imagery in this, or the characterization, or the naivete, or the ignorance of the townspeople, any of those things. But we're focusing specifically on something in that quote. And then we're going to change stupidity to, I'm not sure, but stupid's pretty, it's not that it's too strong. It's just, again, it's a little too low. We can say other things that are really mean, but they just sound smarter. And then of a lot, we want to take out a lot, and we want to highlight the majority of the people in Sukra or what have you. Okay. All right. So now we're getting into, all right. So last one here. We've got totally new. Oh my God, like they totally knew, right? I mean, we don't want to say that. Everyone did know, or something like that. This shows the reader, this shows how much one can blame Angela and how much impact something such as little as saying a name can have on memory. I think we're getting closer to the real, the center, if you will, of this essay, in the idea of blame and memory, because here's where it all starts and ends, really, because we never find out if Santiago really did sleep with her. We don't know that. Angela never confesses to the narrator, even 21 years later. She's like, that's who I said, so that's who I said. Go away, cousin. So maybe go back over that and think about it a little more, and come back to it in just a minute. Here is where the idea of blame or guilt for the town, or where people, it's such a strange story, because if this were anywhere else, I think most people would be like, they were guilty. They killed a nice kid, even if he did do something wrong. They killed a nice kid unarmed in front of everybody. They should have been in more trouble than that. But because of where they are, and because of what you're pointing out in this paragraph, it's the town has a problem. The culture has a problem, because they believe that killing in defense of honor is justifiable. So that's really good, and that possibly could go a long way to explain the blame or guilt angle, or why an entire town can kind of go on. Even they're not successful. I don't think they're very successful. It seems like Marquez suggests that because this happened, the town has essentially kind of imploded and not done well. It's not like they've flourished and grown, but everybody allows everybody else to have their own crazy memory, and they don't argue with them and say, no, you should have stopped them. These, this seemed interesting to me. I'm not sure what you meant. You said this is important because this quote is actually the only memory in this book that tells the reader, okay, so it's this comma that threw me. So take that comma out. That tells the reader how the Vicario brothers felt about killing him. Okay, great. Don't let that go without more explanation. It could be Marquez is using characterization. Marquez, again, is using memory to highlight how guilt or blame is carried on, But yeah, if this is the only evidence we have from the killers themselves, then that's significant in this paper. So that's why that's in blue. Okay, so here you've got uses narrative to communicate this point. Okay. and maybe you want to say characters. I mean, narrative is storytelling. I'm not sure if that's perfect here, but it's definitely a reason why the blame goes to the townspeople is they did not believe these two brothers who were walking around saying we're going to kill him and carrying knives, and that's important. And this ties to this next paragraph. Do you mean the colonel? Because Colonel Aponte is kind of the policeman, and I think that's who him is here. They had told him something about their plans, and he took the knives away when he left. All of that is the colonel, but colloquial is like the way people talk, like in the street kind of thing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think this might have been like a spell check.
Okay.
So when you go back over, be sure to turn that to Colonel. And you could put Colonel Aponte to be clear at first. And it seems that the conclusion kind of almost ends in a mystery because you're suggesting that because we have memory, then we do have, I mean, because we have more than just the report, but we really don't know who's to blame. I mean, that's the ironic point. And maybe that's one of the strategies you could highlight for this would be that Marquez uses irony to highlight the complicated or I want to say something like going against or contrasting or disputed idea. I'm sorry, of nature of not nature of memory, right? I mean, because that's kind of what he's doing. It's like the more people he interviews, the further we get away from knowing anything, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So we take it all the way back to the top, and then we are going to look at maybe some strategies that Marquez uses to create the sense of mystery and highlight the
Okay. Is that in like should I do in for like an own paragraph or just like put it in an introduction?
No, you're going to put this in the introduction. It's going to be your thesis statement.
Okay.
You're going to change your thesis just a little bit. Because, I mean, we know what memory is and we know what blame is. And so what you're saying is throughout the story, it gives different examples of who is to blame. Through these examples, the reader learns that the blame is to be divided between many characters. It creates a sense of mystery. So,
Stranger.
Chronicle of a Death Foretold.
Chronicle. Can I borrow this?
Yes.
I'll bring it right back.
Yes. Certainly. And what you're going to do is basically set us up so that you're going to take us through pretty much what you have.
Okay.
Okay? But we're just going to tweak it just a little bit so that we're focusing more on the strategies Marquez uses. And you have in many ways, you just haven't told us that.
Okay.
Right? You've looked at characterization. You've looked at maybe dialogue. Like I said, maybe irony is one that, I mean, the examples you've used, and instead of saying narrative, maybe call it irony, you know? Yeah.
Okay.
Does that sound reasonable?
Yeah.
Any questions?
When is it due?
Well, now that you've done this, I would really like to get this in. What do you say, the 25th?
Yeah.
A week from now.
Okay, that's okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah, because Sarah told me, oh, yeah, it's due on Friday. I'm like,
Yeah. Well, Friday's 22.
Yeah, I need the weekend.
Saturday's 23. So, yeah, Monday's the 25th.
Yeah, I can do it over the weekend.
Okay. Great. And you can tell Sarah she can have. If you meet with me, then you can turn it in by the 25th.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's just that you've got to have met with me before the 22nd.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
I can't sign into it.
I didn't think you would be able to.
Well, look at that. You just let me walk away.
I did. And we're all on screencast.